35 right now, which is
That's cold for you. I need a shave too. I tell you that.
yesterday.
Disgusting freak right now. A cave dwelling animal.
What's going on, everybody? Tuesday, March 5th. Here we are.
Not live.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
The entire bit from "It's freezing here" to all of your "I'm a cave dweller." Yeah, that's all live.
What are you gonna do?
It could have been worse.
Sure could.
I didn't assume you were going anywhere south with it, so I didn't say anything.
Hey, you're lucky.
I hope everybody had a successful Monday. I hope you didn't get bit by the Brandon Ingram news on FanDuel too hard. I hope the Anthony Davis, he's in, he's out, little game didn't hurt you too much. Worked out for you, I guess, right?
Yeah. I had it was a good night. Look, honestly, I had told you before the show that I really thought I would be in trouble. I did not MMA. Played one lineup across all of my tournaments and all my I had a cash lineup. Put that in into some tournaments, and then had a tournament lineup as well that I had thrown in there. And and I'll be honest, I went chalkier than normal because there weren't that many good. At least it didn't feel at the time. Well, no, that's not true. I pivoted with a couple low-owned guys, but then I went chalky with Len, and that wasn't great. And then Diallo, because I thought Davis wasn't playing. I was like, I'll take my 25 Diallo minutes and move on. Got 20 combined from them, but it turned out pretty solid because like Booker had 40. I thought, I'm like, great, Donovan Mitchell's going to crush him, and Donovan Mitchell cooled off big time in the second half. But I think it was Buddy Hield, who was way lower owned than I thought he would be, and then Rondo was higher, like in the $77, and I think the $100 single was higher owned. But in some of the other ones, he was way lower owned than I had originally thought. So sometimes you don't need to, and we say this a lot, you don't need to go full off the reservation with all of your lineup. If you're playing one or three max, you don't need all 8 of your players to be, sub 5% owned.
No, you don't. And you can see that if you do any modicum of research after the fact, to go through and take a look at how people did, look at the structure of lineups that are at the top. And something that people probably do a lot is go right to the lineup that won the tournament. But I would look through anything in the top 10. You're catching outliers, but you want to look for patterns a little bit more. The lineup that hits 1, which is obviously everybody's goal, it might not be your best outcome to plan for the 1 in 40,000 lineup.
Right. Let me give you an example of something too. In the $77, the medium bounce pass yesterday, Papa Gates, good player. He well, we won't get into him, and
you didn't even see me laugh. That's the funniest part of this. You don't see me, and right. I reacted, and then you responded like you saw my face.
Because people tend to, I have a different perspective on all this, so we won't. I don't like getting into the politics of it.
Same.
I believe that even if it was, a quote unquote team, you still got to be really damn good to win as much as you do. Yeah. So I'm just throwing it out there, but that's unimportant. Hate me for it. I don't care.
I'm with you.
It's not like I benefit from them winning. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I would like them to lose just as much as the next guy because they're not me.
Exactly. But I'm not going to act like they're not good either.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I'm not going to be salty about it. Listen to his lineup. Dwayne Wade, Buddy Hield. That's how I started mine. LeBron James, Dwight Powell, Rajon Rondo. So I had 5 of the 8 that he had. Okay. Now, mind you, he finished with 50 more fantasy points than my lineup.
Here it comes.
Harrison Barnes at 9%. Josh Hart at 0.9.
That is absolutely a late swap.
No question.
Off of Ingram.
Gotta be. And Rudy Gobert at 15. Now these are the $77 ownerships. Rudy Gobert was lower on than I thought, but not as much because the value was all at center. But look at that. One like Hield was 18%, Wade 24, LeBron 68, Powell 55, Rondo 48, Gobert 15. It was Barnes at 9 and Hart at 0.9 that get you there. Like I said, five of them were the same that were in mine, and many of everyone else's lineups. Sometimes it's that one or two players that make the big. The last week, if I had one, my lineup was one player different from the winner, in all of the content outside of like the $10, it might have been an $8, the 100K to first.
Yeah.
It was one player different, and that one player that was in the winning lineup was very low owned. Everybody else was either not ultra chalk, but not way off the reservation crazy plays either. So when you look at that, you realize it's not you're not always getting 8 guys that are less than 5% in winning lineups. Actually, that's very rarely the case. Very rarely. Especially in baseball, it's different because you might stack a team that's completely low owned.
Yeah.
The whole team, But basketball is different.
Yeah, and it's for two reasons. One, to get there's a reason that most people are high owned and most people are low owned. To get 4 guys that are 4% or lower right is really hard because one, they're probably not great plays.
Yeah,
There's a reason they're owned like that.
Exactly.
And to get them all to do the same thing at the same time is difficult. That's why you need to differentiate in 1-2 spots so that you're not so far off the beaten path that you need luck to save you, basically.
Right.
What was how many people were in the tournament that you were just talking about now with Gates's lineup?
The 77?
Yeah.
There were, so let's see, almost right, just shy of 3,000.
Okay. That seems like a really low amount of Josh Hart.
Yeah,
that particular tournament would lead me to think that people are more likely to late swap.
And
that doesn't seem to be the case based on that number.
Here's the only thing I can say is that was the last game of the night.
Sure.
The only 10:30 game. So, by the way, Josh Hart had small forward eligibility too, which you would have thought made a difference. I'm curious to see. I'm going to do this while we're here. Yeah. It'll take me 2 seconds. If you want to talk through it, we can. But I want to see I wanted to see how much his lineup came out to, how much this entire lineup was, because you might be right. There's a good chance that was not your original lineup. It seems unlikely that it was. Maybe it was, but
which tournament is this? The $77 you said? I'm pulling it up on here now.
The $77, correct.
On DK?
Correct.
I'm on the wrong day. Okay. I was like, dude, there is not a tournament with any of those numbers in it. So I wasn't on today. I got
$49.50. So he was $500 beneath the cap.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Well, I was just trying to think, who would he have had? He couldn't have had McGee in there anyway, because you wouldn't have been. McGee doesn't have forward eligibility. I don't know who it would have been at 3,600. Maybe it wasn't a late swap. I mean,
I'm taking a look at his lineup right now.
It was probably just a late swaptimizer, and it mixed some things up. Hell,
I'm really surprised that Josh Hart doesn't go above 1% in this scenario. But it's possible that he's simply too cheap, and that's why he's not getting re-optimized in. People have a salary floor set, and on the late swaptimizer, you don't get swapped into Josh Hart because his salary brings you too low below the floor. Even though at that point in time, salary becomes irrelevant. You shouldn't have a salary floor any longer when you re-swaptimize.
Yeah, I think it would probably be more along the lines of just Ingram wasn't ruled out until every other game was locked.
Yeah, but at the same time, we knew that he was questionable all the way from 9:30 on. So at the very least, you were getting 2 games to mildly pivot.
Yeah, but how do you? What I'm saying is,
I'm not saying it should have been like 20. I'm surprised it's less than 1.
no. I hear you. What I'm saying is, I would more expect it to be the pivot to a Kuzma or a like not $3,100 Josh Hart, unless unless you're actually swapping more than one player out, and if that's the case, it's also hard to do because there aren't many games left. I don't know.
By the way, YouTube chat, I laughed at Josh Hart's suggestion yesterday because Brandon Ingram was playing at that point in time. He was 0.9% owned in general. I don't think that was an outlandish take. I might have a bunch of outlandish takes. That's not one of them.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was particularly high on. There was a comment on the Early Bird podcast that said, with zero mention of Len or Dedmon with a push towards McGee, I'm 100% convinced this whole setup is BS unless you are sending these dudes money.
Yeah, I saw that.
I responded.
Oh,
because
exciting.
Well, I said no. Look, I said John Collins wasn't doubtful when we recorded the show. He's questionable. If we mention every scenario for every player that's questionable, the show would never end, especially when it's Josh and myself.
Yeah.
We did, however, mention Len and Dedmon on all of the other shows once Collins was doubtful and out. Hell, if this was the only show you watched and we didn't suggest Len, you should come back and give us a thumbs up on the video because we saved you money.
For real. I just flipped you from side to side, so now your microphone is on the left.
All right. Whatever works for you.
It looks like you're looking at the spreadsheet now more, so.
But can I just say, man,
Sorry, I just did it and I thought it looked good.
There's like this, like you see this schizophrenic type mentality when it comes to certain people where they think that we've been put out here to purposely mislead them and point them in the wrong direction.
Like so much work.
Like that we're getting paid to move the herd,
disinform,
move the pack away from the good place. Do you know how silly that is?
Do you know how hard that would be to do?
I mean, look. If we get 4,000, 4,500 views total on this video, that still is like a drop in the bucket compared to the field across the industry, and then spread them out across all of the sites and all of the contests. Like, it's just
I share my screen with our projections on it. Like, people can fact check anything that's happening.
It's
all
funny.
The way up until 7 o'clock on the dot. Everything will match, I promise.
Right. Most of our viewers are laughing with us, though. Like, they're like, yeah, it's ridiculous. But then, you get some of them come along once in a while and really think that this is what they think it is? A disinformation campaign.
It is.
Where, we've been sent by the Secret Service to get everybody off the plays.
That's what happens when you're the best show.
Play McGee.
That's what happens.
Play McGee. Fade Alex Len. It's funny, man.
That's what happens. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. One big word. Any package you choose, that is a monthly package, that is. You can't take 50% off of an annual. We'll be broke. But you get 50% off the first month, including stuff with Fantasy Cruncher. So come check it out. Been doing a little bit of a redesign on the website, so if you have any thoughts and feedback, please let us know. Everything is cleaned up a little bit. We had MMA projections and ownership this weekend. We've got NASCAR. I mean, we're covering it all. We'll have a golf show today with Ben and Tim Frank, so check that out. Good time to be awesemo.com.
You know what our motto is, right?
Do I?
No site gets you off the good plays like awesemo.com.
I was hoping that wasn't a real question, because if we had one, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been bad. No one leads you astray like awesemo.com.
There's a soundbite for the people. Vape is going to love that one.
What's that?
Vape is gonna love that one.
Look, here's the thing. We pride ourselves so much on giving the best information that we can. Uh, you and I spend 2 hours sometimes on 4 games.
Yeah, we're at 15 minutes already, and we haven't even started.
Right, I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You ready to dive in?
Started.
Let's do it. First game up, the Indiana Pacers hosting the Chicago Bulls. I actually need to update basically every line in this sheet. When I woke up this morning, we had 2 of the 6 games with lines. We still do. Unless Bet365 is, a lot of these games don't have totals, so we're spitballing here quite a bit.
Dude, how about the Bucks losing to the Phoenix Suns and getting swept by them this season?
Insanity.
That was crazy. Yeah, I only have 2 lines as well, by the way. Did you say you have all but 2 or only 2?
Only 2.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I've got it 113, 105 for the Pacers. Not the greatest spot in the world here. The Bulls have actually been okay defensively.
Yeah, they've been better.
I don't know why they're any good. Markkanen's not great defensively.
Porter's
Levine is terrible. I guess, 30 minutes of Rolo having Porter, that helps.
Yeah, I mean I'd say overall they're still below league average, but they're definitely
Wayne Selden
better
isn't exactly known for offense. So.
Right. Yeah, they're better than they were on the earlier in the season for sure.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, so let's talk Pacers. Still no Sabonis. So 7,500 on FanDuel for Turner, 5,700 on DraftKings. Continues to just be priced as if Sabonis is playing. I guess it's so weird.
And Oladipo?
Yeah, for real. What would, if Sabonis and Oladipo were active, what would Turner's price be right now? 4,800?
Seriously, I have no idea. I mean, look, many people will point to his game logs and say, he hasn't been very good, which, I understand that, but he's still playing 30 plus minutes almost every night that he's not in foul trouble. He's still the guy leads the league in blocks per game. He still is at 5,700. It's hard not to like Miles Turner, and Robin Lopez getting some minutes, and he's a pretty he's a decent sized traditional type center, but there's no way I don't have Miles Turner as one of the better point per dollar plays or value plays on this slate. Right now I do. I have him as one of the better. I have him certainly in the top 10 when it comes to being at 5,700.
By the way, can we pour one out for Rolo?
What happened to Rolo?
Well, he was all set to
get the buyout.
Yeah, head to Golden State. That was the big talk that it had already been agreed to, and sure as shit, here comes back. Andrew Bogut coming over on back. Flight 8115 or 815.
League MVP, Defensive Player of the Year in that Australian league.
Yeah, and now just not going to happen for you, sir. Why is that showing up as that number?
Yo, props to Lopez, though. He's going out there playing 35, 40 minutes a night.
Yeah, for a team going absolutely nowhere that he is not a part of the future for.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? They've actually, like you said, though, they actually haven't been that bad. They beat the Magic, who have been okay. Just really quickly, look at their last. You look at their last 7 games: win over Memphis, win over Orlando, 10-point win over Boston. They lost to Milwaukee, win over Memphis, 4 quad overtime win over Atlanta, and then they lost to they're actually winning games right now. I don't know why they're trying to do that, but it's happening.
It definitely is. How do you feel about Turner? Or I guess we need to talk about 5 guys from the Pacers, because we've got 5 guys on DraftKings that are at 19% expected ownership or higher. Turner, Thad, Collison, Boyan, and Wes Matthews.
The honest truth with Thad, with Boyan Bogdanovic, nice work, by the way.
Yeah. All it took was you shaming me on a show that I wasn't on.
Oh, I knew you were listening.
Well, sure.
Uh, with Darren Collison, uh, honestly, with all of those guys, they seem for me to always be kind of like contingency plans where I'd like to not get a lot of them, but if nothing opens up throughout the day, then I'm okay getting some of them. Like, maybe I'll take my 30, 31 minutes of Collison and hope he can give me 35 fantasy points. Once in a while, he'll give you 40, but it's very unlikely. And then the same thing with Bogdanovich. Like, okay, Boyan Bogdanovich is going to play 35, 34 minutes, 30, 31 over his last two, but he's going to get over 30 and he's going to get shots up, right? His usage since Oladipo left has been good enough. I think around 23%. You're going to get that. And then you're going to hope that he can fall into like 4 or 5 rebounds and a handful of assists. And then with Thaddeus Young, because I'll be truthful with you, man. These are 3 of the hardest guys for me to analyze in the entire league, especially because of the team they're on, because the ball gets spread around so much, because they're not the most electric offense, but they're still good enough and they still find ways to score. And basically all of them seem to finish in that same like 30 fantasy point area every single night.
Yeah.
That's why really with these guys, it's always if I get them, I'm okay with it. If I don't, there's no right reason I'm trying to work them in. It comes down to price. And right now, what? Thaddeus Young on DraftKings, 5,900. Boyan Bogdanovich, 5,600. Darren Collison, 5,500. Miles Turner, 5,700. They're all in the exact same tier. And I think for good reason. I still prefer Miles Turner over all of them.
Yeah, I have those 4 guys projected from 30 to 34.6, and they are from 55 to 5,900 on DraftKings. It's like, oh my God, it's just playing like straight equals across the board. That does make it easy to make inter-team pivots. Darren Collison is at 36% ownership right now on DraftKings, second highest on the slate.
If that's the case, I have no problem getting away from Collison.
Yep, super easy.
I mean, honestly, I have no problem playing none of the guy if that's the case.
Yeah. He's in the worst spot if Chris Dunn is playing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not even just that. Like if I lose because Collison goes for 50 and he's super chalky, then so be it. Seriously, so be it.
I'm with you.
But this guy so very frequently is going to finish with, 28, 30 fantasy points and maybe, 32 or so. That's fine. That's fine. I would imagine if you took the last 30 days for Collison, he'd be right around 32 fantasy points.
1.04 FanDuel points per minute over his last 30. So
1.04?
Basically right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's probably playing 31, 32 minutes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Nailed it. Yeah, I will play the guys that are owned less from the Pacers and play less of the it's not as if I'm 0%ing Darren Collison. I understand why he's getting ownership. I don't want to be anywhere near 36. Wes Matthews, 4,100 on DraftKings, has the lowest expected ownership at 19%. That's probably it's high. It's the most appealing number of these to me. I'm gonna have every bit of the Pacers. I'll probably be neutral with the field on Miles Turner. I think that's the piece that has the most upside here. He's a full 10% behind Collison. Only guy that I don't need a lot of is probably Boyan. And I'm not even it's not as if I have a problem with it.
Is that the only one you don't need a lot of? So what about okay.
Of the 5 that are getting ownership, Boyan is my least favorite.
Okay. That's fair enough. Wes Matthews, he is definitely discounted.
Yeah, him being $1,500 cheaper than everybody else just sort of makes it different.
Yeah. The funny thing is so he's got a 17% usage rate, but that's hardly even important because seriously, look at most of this team, and you're going to get pretty similar numbers from most. No one's running away with anything here. They just aren't. Nobody's running away with a damn thing. If you were to take, say, since the trade deadline and look at these numbers, and take Domantas Sabonis off the floor, everyone's going to be pretty much in that same realm of like 17 to 20% usage. You can look at it right now, right? Bogdanovich, since the trade deadline, is at 29%. So that's pretty significant. But that's countered by or counteracted by the fact that he doesn't do much else. Miles Turner's at 19.5, Collison at 19, Matthews at 17, Thad Young also at 17, 17.8. They're Corey Joseph at 12.5. That's why I say this team is difficult for me to evaluate on a one-by-one basis, and then even per minute production. Bogdanovich has actually been the best at 1.04 since the deadline, and then you have Collison 1.03, Joseph at 0.99, Turner 0.98, Thaddeus Young 0.9, Wes Matthews 0.75. Yeah, it's a tough team.
Yeah, I wish I had like a standout play. When you look at it, you think, oh, Miles Turner is probably that guy, and he's sort of the poster child for DraftKings pricing being like $600 too cheap on every single guy across the board all season.
Right.
FanDuel, these guys were priced up quite a bit. Like Collison is $7,400 on FanDuel and $5,500 on DraftKings. $1,900 gap. So it makes your decision a lot easier. I don't have a ton of interest in Turner, Collison, or Wes Matthews on FanDuel. It's Thad Young at 7K, which I still don't like. Anytime you're getting Thad Young at 7K, you probably can comfortably go a different direction. And there's plenty of other options at power forward today. So no need to be there with, like, I'm getting him. I will probably try to not do that just because there's other guys that aren't, like, who's not getting ownership right now. Okay, so everybody is. From Tobias Harris at 8K to Jeremy Grant at 6K. Between 13 and 18% ownership, 13 and 19% ownership on 7 different guys. So what power forward is telling us, at least in our ownership, is shrug.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of how I feel, at least about the Thad Young piece. So I hope something shakes out there where we can get a little bit more clarity.
And I'll say, Corey Joseph's 3,800 on DraftKings. He's averaging, with Sabonis off since the deadline, 0.99 fantasy points per minute. Hasn't been terrible. If nothing opens up, maybe you have Corey Joseph, but I don't know.
Tyreek to be out for that one.
What'd you say?
You need Tyreek to be out for that one.
Is he in?
He is in.
Oh, okay. My fault. I thought he was still out. Yeah, that changes.
I'm pretty sure he's still in, or I'm pretty sure he's in.
No,
I have him in.
You're right. He's in. Yep, you're right.
Okay.
I'm happy moving to Chicago here. I think we've covered Indy pretty well.
Yeah, a tale of two sites again. A little bit of a pace down spot for Chicago. Clearly a tough defensive matchup. I like Markkanen for 8,200 on DraftKings. I can't get away from this dude. Levine and Porter as well. I'm basically just with the field on the DK side. And then I'm getting a little bit of Chris Dunn on FanDuel for 5,800, and that never makes me happy.
Well, he's not at all expensive. That's kind of the thing. He just hasn't been very good is also the problem. Chris Dunn, you're hoping the problem, first of all, the problem is that you have Levine, you have Markkanen out there, and now you also have Otto Porter. So Chris Dunn, really, from a usage standpoint, has fallen through the floor. It's become a problem, and I think Otto Porter, you might not think it makes the biggest difference, but it still certainly has some impact on him because it's, he's still going to be a higher usage guy than Wayne Selden Jr.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not going to help him. So he needs to do it with the assists. He needs to do it with rebounds, and then he's going to need to be efficient as a scorer. Well, he's not a great rebounder. He's not the most efficient scorer. So where are we going to be getting this from? From a usage standpoint, since the deadline, since Otto Porter came over, Otto's at 21%, Chris Dunn's at 16%. And then assist rate, you have Levine at 23%, Chris Dunn also at 23%, identical ball hand or assist rate. That's not good. So it's not a surprise that Chris Dunn's averaging 0.8 fantasy points per minute. It's actually it's been really ugly. So he's cheap, but sometimes you have to ask yourself, should he be cheap? And yeah, he should. He definitely should be discounted in this spot. What do you make of Markkanen though?
I'll have double the field on DraftKings and not a ton on FanDuel.
All right.
As of right
Yeah.
now, I have just under double on him.
Yeah, I've never been that high on rostering these guys against Indy because defensively they're a pretty stout team, but I'm not too worried about it. His price has come down to 8,200. I think the big thing is comparing him to the other players at power forward. Who's there that we really like? Uh, there, it's not that deep. Even on honestly, even on DraftKings, it's not that deep.
No,
It's really not. So I think Markkanen is a little bit more appealing once you zoom out, instead of just focusing on this specific game. If you zoom out and look at the position as a whole, Markkanen becomes more appealing than he would if it was just in a vacuum.
totally agree. And he's playing monster minutes too, so sometimes that
Yep.
just can't be ignored. And I definitely prefer Markkanen to Levine, given their
Yeah,
prices.
and on DraftKings too, like one big thing here is going to be, well, actually, you know what? Paul George is officially out, isn't he?
He is indeed.
He's officially out. Yeah, so there you go. Because if Paul George was active, for some reason I thought was questionable, and I forgot I had actually seen that he was out. That's another one that's out. So that thins the position out. Even with MPE, there's not a lot. Like we'll get to Tobias Harris and a few other guys, but it's Markkanen will stand out because of the lack of depth for sure.
Yeah. After that, I don't have much. Like I'm not taking anybody else from the Bulls. I have no interest in Rolo.
Yeah, and I don't think I get to a whole lot of Levine here. He's priced fine. Like I don't have an issue with Zach Levine just because $7,600 on DraftKings is pretty feasible. Like I have no problem at 7,600, but he's also not a guy that I'm going to end up with a lot of because not similar to Dunn. What Dunn takes away facilitating opportunities, passing work from Levine. And then Levine takes away pretty much everything from Dunn. But Levine still needs to be pretty efficient himself because his usage has come down since we've seen this team get healthy and bring Porter on. Outside of that quadruple overtime game, he needs to be more efficient. And I have a tough time with this entire game. I really wish it wasn't on the slate.
So do I.
I really do. It's just like you want to rationalize it because a lot of the games on this slate are not that good. But on another day on a different slate, we'd be just like passing right over this game.
Yeah, there's better regular basketball than fantasy basketball today, for sure. I don't know. I don't have anything else for this game.
I'm fine moving on from this one.
Moving on. The Philadelphia 76ers are hosting the Orlando Magic.
Should be a good game.
Yeah, I have 115, 110. I don't know if that line's real or not.
I have, let me see here.
I don't know if we have spreads yet or not.
I don't have one on this.
They're all out now.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, 222.5 total. I got the Sixers by 4.5.
All
we
right.
already had that. We just didn't have a total.
All right, so yeah, I have it. Yeah, it's 4.5, 223.5. We've got Portland, Memphis, 5.5, 217. OKC, Minnesota, -3, 234. Missed that total by a mile. Houston Rockets, 3.5, 226. I think we had that one. Then Boston Golden State, 8.5, 229. I was in the ballpark for most of these. Okay. 114, 109.5 is Sixers Magic. Still a sea of dudes missing this game for Philly. Pace down spot. The most difficult defensive matchup on the slate over the last 15 games played. Orlando Magic, 6% better than average lately. Kind of crazy.
It
All right,
is.
talk to me about your boys.
I mean, it's really not gonna sweat. It's not gonna make a difference for me.
No.
And I don't think it should for you or anybody else. And the reason I say that is just take a look at some of the other games on this slate, like Portland, Memphis, Chicago, Indy, Toronto, Houston. Once we get to that, you'll see it's not, it's not as great as it might appear. Boston, Golden State. There's something there, but it's not phenomenal. With Philly, Orlando, you're talking about a game with no Embiid, and it just makes such a significant difference. I mean, such a significant difference that when it comes to the defensive matchup, I'm so less inclined to worry about that. If Embiid was here, I'd say, okay, this is a lot different because you have Embiid, you have Butler, you have Harris, you have Simmons, but you don't. That's not the case. What you have is three guys who are going to see a lot of work as a result. Simmons has now triple doubled in back-to-back games. And he had a lot of turnovers last game, but on DraftKings, who cares? He still had 66 DraftKings points. He had a monster game. By the way, not sure if anyone caught this. Ben Simmons' free throw form is different and looks really, really good. I don't know what he did. I don't know who talked to him. I don't know who changed it.
Did he switch hands?
There's more art on it. There's more art. Before it was like a heat-seeking missile banking off the front or back of the rim. These are it's a nice form. More art kind of just drops nicely in there. Big difference because he shot 5 of 6 from the line last game, and that's something that if he can get that down, you like him even more. But since Joel Embiid has been out, the Sixers have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and you have usage rates of Ben Simmons 25%, Butler 24%, Harris 22.5%, Redick's down there at 17%. Assist rate, I'm going to go over these because it's important.
Yeah.
McConnell at 38%. That's pretty funny. Simmons 34%, Butler 22%. Then nothing else is really relevant. Total rebounding rate, Simmons at 15%. That's encouraging. Harris at 12%. Butler at 9%, and then per minute production, you have Simmons 1.25, Harris 1.09, Butler 1.02. Bolden had actually been playing well, but the foul trouble it's killing him, so it's tough to trust him. What I'm getting at here is Ben Simmons at 8,400. Josh, I still have plenty of interest in Ben Simmons at 8,400. I mean, he's played 41 minutes in regulation in each of his last 2. We expect this game to stay close. I think he'll play big minutes. And power forward's not that great. Tobias Harris last game had an inefficient game for what feels like the first time since he's come to Philly. I know he struggled against Boston, but outside of that, he's been so damn efficient as a scorer and a shooter. I have no problem with him either. And then Jimmy Butler, who's running the point when Simmons is off the court, not as much as I'd like, but still 37 minutes in back-to-back games. He's not on the injury report, even though he didn't practice yesterday. Am I playing all these guys in the same lineup? No, but I have absolutely zero problem mixing them in and out. I get it. Orlando's played solid defense, but these 3 guys are just going to get enough work to where it doesn't matter to me. And Simmons at 8,400, I just think that's too cheap. I think it's way too cheap.
I like Simmons. I prefer Butler, as I have for, I don't know, a couple days.
It's going to work one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, you would think. He's been fine.
Yeah, I know, but Simmons and Harris had been really good prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, Simmons' last 2 games were fantastic. The game against the Pelicans was, pretty dreadful for the price tag. Harris has been good. I mean, he's been really good basically since they've gotten him.
I like them all though. To be clear, I think they're all good play.
Yeah, I'll be over on Butler. I'll be under-ish on Simmons. I'm happy with both of them. Tobias Harris, 9% expected ownership on DK. Basically less than half of the other 2 guys.
I like that quite a bit. Ben Simmons is 99 on FanDuel and 8-4 on DraftKings. That 84 is wrong. It's wrong. Like, does that mean he's going to have a great game because it's no, it doesn't, but it means that God, you have a lot more room for error at 8,400, you know?
Yeah.
If Simmons goes for 43, you're not dead in the water. So, yeah, I think it's harder for me to get away from him. And really the point I was making initially is just the matchup against a very much improved Orlando defense is less important to me on a night where Embiid is out and we don't really have the greatest 6-game slate.
No, we do not. That is an understatement. That is the understatement of all understatements.
Harris at 9%, like you mentioned, though, that's pretty fascinating for a power forward position that really isn't that great.
There's not much that's great today.
Right.
Honestly.
Right.
I'll tell you what is great, though. JJ Redick at 4,800 on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's all you.
That's a ridiculously low price tag.
Is it, though?
I think so. For a guy that shoots as much as he does?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guy's such a hater.
I'm not really, though. Like,
I mean, his price was 5,700 on January 29th.
Since Embiid's been out, he has a 17% usage rate, which isn't really that good.
No.
First of all, he's shooting terribly, so I do expect that to turn around at some point. They win that game against Golden State if he could make one basket. Like,
he shot 3 threes.
Yeah, missed them all.
Yeah, like that's a three attempt game from JJ Redick is kind of weird.
Oh yeah, it is. Shot 2 for 9, so 17% in the 5 games Embiid has been out. 18.9% usage since the deadline. Look, I'm not saying 4,800 isn't all right. I just don't think he's underpriced.
I think he's underpriced on DraftKings.
I mean, that's fair enough. I'm not going to argue. I just the thing is that Redick isn't going to get by on rebounds and assists and steals. Like, he needs to score. He absolutely needs to score. So he is like the one guy I would be more worried about the defensive matchup than anybody else, because he's not going to get it done with defensive stats. He needs to score. And
no, you could add his defensive stats together for the season if you'd like.
Yeah, and you might get a decent game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orlando, middle of the pack in non-corner 3 frequency, so nothing interesting there.
Jonah Bolden, I actually don't hate Jonah Bolden here. He would have played more minutes against Golden State. He got yanked due to foul trouble twice. It's going to be a lot harder to play Mike Scott at the 5. You had to do that at times against Golden State for 2 reasons. One, Bolden was in foul trouble, and there's simply no way that Amir Johnson would be. And by the way, he didn't play against Golden State, but that wouldn't have made a damn difference, right? Like, you would not have been able to confidently play him out there. He didn't practice on Monday. Wouldn't be surprised if he sits. Joel Embiid is out. Boban Marjanovic remains out. I think Jonah Bolden's actually a pretty solid option here. And the interesting thing about that is right now he has 0.7 projected ownership. To me, that's actually pretty outrageous. And here's why. Jonah Bolden played a lot of minutes to start the game. And I'm pretty sure Popcorn Machine is wrong on this, because it's showing that he played like 16 straight minutes. I don't. Did he? I can't imagine that was the case.
The most recent game
against the Warriors, but he had a bunch of fouls to. Let's see, 2, 3. Okay, that was it. He pulled 2 quick fouls to start the third quarter, 4.5 minutes in. Then he comes back to start the fourth quarter. Boom, 5th foul, 3 minutes in, and he's out. And then what happened? I watched this game in its entirety. It was a fantastic game. What happened is Mike Scott could not miss. He couldn't miss. Mike Scott could not miss.
Classic Mike Scott.
Yep. Now, he was already out on the court. But what we saw was Simmons, Harris, Redick, Butler, and Scott, and that was their closing lineup. So Bolden was out. If Scott wasn't red hot, if Bolden wasn't in foul trouble, I would have expected him to play significantly more minutes in this game. I think if he's not in foul trouble against Vooch, you get 28 minutes from him, and apparently everybody or nobody has any interest in Jonah Bolden on a slate that already doesn't have a lot of value. I mean, I'm pulling it up on a different site, the Game Flow, because sometimes Popcorn Machine is wrong. And I want to be absolutely sure that this is either right or wrong because it's actually really important.
I'm at 22 minutes in my sheet from the most recent game. So if that checks out, you're probably good.
So they added like 4 minutes, but he played 8 minutes to start the game. And then he came out and then he played about 5 minutes into the second. That's when he caught another foul and got taken out. I don't have a problem putting Bolden around 28 minutes here. It's not the craziest thing in the world. And he had also, I believe, gotten in the early foul trouble against OKC, which yanked him out as well.
I'll have to pay closer attention to it. I don't have him with enough minutes right now.
Yeah, I definitely do. He's questionable with an illness, by the way, but if he plays, I'm definitely putting Bolden above 22 minutes. I don't see how I couldn't.
Okay.
Like just one more time, just so I can. He was very clearly in foul trouble twice. Actually, three times in that game. Second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. 3 different times. And then Mike Scott got red hot. So you have that. And then against OKC, he took 2 quick fouls in the first, and then he took another one. So he lost about a minute in that game. And then he just started playing pretty terribly in the third quarter, but he was playing well against Golden State. Brett Brown was trying to keep him out there.
My question is, do you think that Jonah Bolden can hang with Vooch?
That's not the question you should be asking.
I have a follow-up, but I'm leading you there.
Okay, well, the question you should be is can Mike Scott?
No, you're taking this out of order. Do you think how well do you think Jonah Bolden will do on Vooch?
Better than Mike Scott.
I understand that. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. In a vacuum, how is Bolden on Vooch?
Obviously not great.
Okay, so if you're conceding that, and you know that Mike Scott is also bad, do you not just go to Mike Scott and advance your offense in lieu of taking the beating one way or the other?
No, because Mike Scott doesn't really advance your. Just because Mike Scott knocked down a bunch of threes last game doesn't mean that he's the. Look, Mike Scott's been red hot. Don't get me wrong, but against Jonah Bolden, against Vooch, he's going to get absolutely pummeled.
Sure.
Jonah Bolden has at least been moderately decent when he's not in foul. Dude, Jonah Bolden against DeMarcus Cousins to start that game looked good.
Okay.
So if you're
that's helpful.
Right. So our opinion, so I should have stated that differently. Let me put it this way. Do I think Jonah Bolden's going to shut Vooch down? No, of course not. But do I think it is a dramatic difference from Bolden to Mike Scott? I actually do. Yeah. I do.
I look at this and I see Ben Simmons, I see Jimmy Butler and think, man, that gets really constricted when it's Bolden as well on there. Is Scott just out there to take the beating against Vooch and give
what do you mean
a modicum of additional space?
Well, no, I mean Bolden can stretch it. The guy he was 3 for 4 he's 5 for 7 from 3 over his last 2 games.
Is he really?
He can stretch. Yeah, dude. He's not a stay-at-home center.
I didn't think that he was a stay-at-home center. I didn't think he was shooting as much as he was.
Oh yeah, no, he's pretty mobile actually. He's just I
didn't realize he was shooting that much.
Yeah. He's not a terrible 3-point shooter at all. That's why I'm saying you're not really getting a huge offensive injection from Mike Scott, but you're getting an extra 3 inches from Jonah Bolden.
I did not realize
I'm not
he shot
telling
as many
anyone
threes as he does. Holy hell!
I'm not telling anyone to play. Don't play him if you don't want to play him. I'm not talking to you, just to the listeners. I'm just letting you know that he absolutely 100% would have played a lot more than 22 minutes last game. Like, I know that for sure. He literally got taken off the court 3 times because of foul trouble. That's all I'm saying.
34.7% from 3. That's not the worst for a rookie. That wasn't supposed to sound sarcastic, by the way.
No,
Just in case it did. That's really not shabby. I didn't realize that he was shooting like he did. I mean, granted, he's played 380 minutes, but I did not realize that he shot as much as he did from 3.
Was he 36%? 36% shooter from 3?
34.7.
Percent?
Yeah.
Oh, I have him at 35.5. That's weird. Unimportant. I'll tell you this much though.
That could be cleaning the glass, throwing out garbage time stats, which are way more likely to affect Jonah Bolden.
Oh yeah. By the way though, 56% of his attempts are from 3.
Yeah, that's I looked at his frequency. Not doing much of anything else. So ignore me then.
He's a stretch for sure.
That's the goal, at least.
I mean, he is. That's the type of player.
I realized he was that old too.
Yeah, we've been in the system a little while, I think.
Yeah. Well, we're 51 minutes in. We should probably get to the 4th team on the list.
Yeah, probably.
But, I mean, we were obviously going to spend a lot of time on Philly.
We had to. Yeah, that you have to on that game.
I just meant because you were the co-host.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. You do have to spend a lot of time on the Sixers today.
I don't disagree, but we're clearly going to spend more because of you.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Orlando Magic, pace up spot. This Philly team is not the same defensively when Joel Embiid is not on the floor, so that's something to keep in mind. 10-5 on FanDuel, 9,200 on DK, $45 on Yahoo. How do you want to manage Vooch today?
He's a very good play. Very good. And I like him a lot. Simple as that.
I'm very surprised at how little he pops up for me. Because I don't agree with it when I just look at it, you know?
Yeah, I would have to. I haven't run anything yet, any crunches yet, but I mean, I guess. So what do we have? We have Westbrook with George out, Harden against Toronto, Towns against OKC, no Embiid, no George, pass on Durant, Curry, Leonard. Are you getting a lot of like Irving or Markkanen?
Yeah, look.
You gotta be getting someone in that range.
Towns.
That makes sense. Okay.
Jimmy Butler. I mean, that's a little bit cheaper. Cousins.
Yeah, getting a decent amount of Cousins. I still like Vooch though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm low on him, and it's going to be the first thing that I go take a look at because all signs point to this being much better than it is.
What do you have his minutes at?
32.
32.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I have him at 33. I think in this game he probably. I
think that I am probably low, and that should probably be 34.
I don't know. He might not be. This is a tough one.
He plays 34 to 36 in like a close.
And it's like super competitive games.
And as far as matchups go, I mean, this is about as good as it's going to get for him.
It really is.
I mean, he is probably their path to victory. So
just from a size advantage, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give him 2 more minutes. I think that I can safely take 2 away from Kem Birch, and I'll just be okay.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay.
Sorry to all the Kem Birch stands out there. Yeah, so if I give Vooch 2 more minutes, I end up in a spot where I will likely have more than the field of him, and that is more than okay with me.
For sure. Aside from him, though, it's a little bit more bleak. Like DJ Augustine.
I want the Magic to get better. I hope this is a perfect opportunity to bring this up, considering who I'm doing this show with. I really hope Fultz is good for them.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
I'm sure we are on. I mean, obviously, you don't ever hope that someone's life goes poorly, but
well, it's debatable.
Someone who really has no tie to you at all. But I'm sure you're not clamoring for Fultz to be the number 1 pick you thought you had.
Exactly, that's all. You want to if he can be a serviceable role player his whole career, I'll be fine with it.
Okay. Okay.
I don't have a problem with Aaron Gordon either, just because he's cheap. I mean, that's really all it comes down to for Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Aside from that, uh, pretty much there's not much else. I will throw out Terrence Ross just because when Terrence Ross is playing well, he's going to play, 28, 29, maybe even 30 minutes. We've seen this be the case a lot recently. And once he gets hot, once he's shooting well, he can really turn it up. And he's $4,700 on DraftKings, which I think is pretty reasonable. Tournament only, of course. 5K on FanDuel isn't bad. Terrence Ross is a decent guy to toss out there at a small exposure.
We're missing the guy that we need the most from DraftKings.
Who?
Evan Fournier.
Yeah, you can take him.
So here's the deal. He's going to play 35 minutes. It's a pace-up spot for Orlando. Their defense is different without Embiid. He's at 5% ownership today on a 6-game slate. Like, would you rather have Evan Fournier tonight or Darren Collison?
Probably still Collison. I mean,
30%.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean,
I get.
It's not even like Fournier's been bad lately. He went for 37 2 nights ago against Indiana. Went for 37 against the Knicks. He's been at 5x or higher in 6 of his last 9.
Probably Fournier.
If it's an 11-game slate, it's one thing, but he is way too cheap for someone that's going to play and shoot.
No, I hear you. I'm going to try my best to get not a lot of either of them, but I understand where you're coming from for sure.
Relative to the rest of the people in this game, like Evan Fournier is my favorite play by a mile.
All right.
Like he's a point. I have him at 0.82 FanDuel points per minute in this game. He's been at 0.84 for the season or over the last 30 days. His like true talent in my model is 0.84. So I'm not even above where he's been.
Right.
Minutes are minutes on this one.
Yeah. I know. Look, I'm all right with it.
I'm trying to talk myself into it more, I think.
I get it. I'm not gonna. The thing is, there's nothing like good I can say about him, but I do actually. I understand what you're saying. So for me, it's more or less just like I can see why you'd play him, but I'd have a very tough time telling someone why to play them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like I would rather have. Oh God, I don't know. Like I like him more than Redick. I like Fournier too much. This will only go one way.
Well, he's going to be low owned if it works out, at least.
Yeah, that makes me kind of happy. And then I like John Isaac for 5,600 on FanDuel.
Yeah. This whole team, to me, honestly, outside of Vooch, they're all just kind of take it or leave it type guys to me.
It's this small forward spot on FanDuel. It's, Kawhi and Durant both at 97. Like, nothing terribly appealing. And then you're all the way down to Porter, Boy on Redick at 5,700. Then you get Isaac at 56.
Yeah, he's fine.
Hayward, Bruno Caboclo, Rodney Hood. Like, small forwards suck.
It does. It's really bad. He's fine. Really, he's fine. Like, if you wanted to play Redick on FanDuel because there's nobody else, like Donovich, Porter, like, they're fine. So that's it. That's the bad position. They're okay. You got to play one of them.
Oh God, yes you do. Yes you do. I don't have anything else for this.
No, I'm very, very happy and actually eager to move on.
Memphis Grizzlies hosting the Portland Trailblazers. 106 implied total for the Grizzlies at home. Half point behind the Bulls for the lowest total. Blazers 111.5. Evan Turner is back, but we'll start on the Grizzlies side. I assume Conley's playing today. I've got Ivan Robb in, not that it's a huge deal. I basically don't have any interest in anything from Memphis. I'll never complain if I get Mike Conley. I don't need to be here. Avery Bradley on DraftKings for 4,400 is really the only thing that I see that's like, okay, that'll work.
Yeah. So Mike Conley is expected to play?
I mean, he was only out for rest in the last game, so I can't imagine he's out today again for it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, general soreness.
Yeah.
Yeah, Avery Bradley. I mean, you're not like what's his name? DeLon Wright the other day was top value, of course, and definitely was solid. Avery Bradley, though, has continued to play really well, and I have no problem continuing to roster him so as long as he stays cheap enough. But Adam and I talked about this on a deeper dive the other day. Since coming to Memphis, his usage really has not been bad. Like it's not through the roof. It's never going to be through the roof. That's just kind of it's Avery Bradley. You're never going to have like 30% usage from Avery Bradley, but you don't need that as long as you're getting decent enough numbers from him. He's really affordable, and he's the big thing is because about a week ago I was saying if you're considering Wright, just play Bradley over Wright because you're getting at least 5 or 6 additional minutes from him. And I obviously still feel the same way. And, even more so now, he's averaging almost a fantasy point per minute since coming to the Grizzlies. He has 23% usage. That's pretty significant. 22% assist rate as well. Like you're actually getting really solid numbers from Avery Bradley. Some of the best numbers of his career, and he's getting up consistent shots. 6+ 3-pointers in 4 straight games now. He's been far more involved in the offense and actually as a facilitator. No joke, he's getting distributive work and passing duties, which is a big deal. Even if Conley is active, I think Bradley's perfectly fine here, and there's not a lot of value on this slate.
There is not a lot of value on this slate. Kyle Anderson. Who else is out? Jaren Jackson, right? I wanted to take a look at the Grizzlies since the break on Wowie. I can't justify this game. Offense is terrible. It's a really difficult defensive matchup. Blazers are second best on the slate over their last 15. So it feels a lot like, I mean, outside of Conley being healthy, it feels a lot like the Grizzlies of, was it 2 years ago? Or was it last year where no one was healthy? No, I guess it was last year because they got Jaren Jackson. When they just had nothing of value for 3 months.
It's actually been a couple years.
Yeah. Who did they take before that, or did they not have their pick?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
It's nobody on the screen right now.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Who have they been drafting? It must be nobody, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
They took that Adams that 1 year. He's already gone. Grizzlies draft history. Now I just want to know. So, Wade Baldwin in 2016, that was a bust. Jordan Adams in 2014, that was a bust. Jarrell Martin, that's a bust. Tony Roten, Philly boy.
He was awesome for us during the rebuild, by the way.
Yeah. Perfect fantasy guy. God, they have not drafted someone that's any good in a long time outside of Jaren Jackson. Oh boy. You have to go all the way back to 2010 and get Grievous Vasquez to get someone that's been like a functional NBA player.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Granted, they weren't
after that, Dominique Jones, Xavier Henry, Sam Young, Damari Carroll, Hashim Thabit.
Most of these guys aren't even role players.
No. They basically haven't had a good draft pick since, I mean, if we want to count Damari Carroll, but basically Kevin Love, which ended up not staying there, going to Minnesota and becoming OJ Mayo.
That's rough, man. That's bad. That's really bad.
But yet 3 of their 3 straight picks were, technically speaking, Kyle Lowry, Mike Conley, Kevin Love.
That's just flat out awful.
Yeah. It's a sea of dudes that look like they are probably playing in Bulgaria right now. Portland side. I like CJ McCollum for 6K on DraftKings.
So do I.
Like a lot. I mean, so does the public too. 26% ownership. I'm fine with Dame, but this is not really like a desirable spot to me. Al-Farouq Aminu is 4K on DraftKings and getting 20% expected ownership. Am I missing something here?
Honestly, I ended up with on just an initial crunch with no cap. I think I got like 35% Aminu. So
Okay.
I have to go back and look at it to see, why. Let me see what I have his minutes projected at.
Yeah, that almost has to be the story here.
I don't know. I haven't. Hold on.
I assume you have like 30.
I have 1 second. So Aminu, I haven't. I wasn't sure if I had his per minute wrong, but I don't because I have it at 0.85, which is what it's at in the season. I suppose that could be lower. They're facing Memphis, right? So I have him at 29 minutes, which sounds about right. Yeah, if I dropped it to like 28, he probably wouldn't show up nearly as much. But 4,000 is not terrible.
Yeah, I'm probably low on his minutes actually. Now that I look at it,
What do you have him at?
I have him at 27, but I'm going to go up to 29.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable.
And
Yeah,
now
that
with Turner back, I can probably take a couple minutes from somebody here.
the only thing about this is that Aminu generally plays more minutes against teams that have a strong like wing score, which is funny because against Toronto, he only played 21 minutes, and you'd think he would have been used a good amount on Kawhi, but wasn't. Uh, I'm 28, 29 is pretty reasonable. Look, with this Portland team, I can tell you why I'm getting a decent amount of all of them, including Damian Lillard. It's just because on DraftKings, they're all priced down because of the matchup. Like Dame's 84, McCollum is 6 flat, Nurkic is 7K. Just throwing this out there, Yusuf Nurkic at $7,000 against Memphis. He's also in play here. I think I got like 15% Nurkic on my first run. What'd you say?
That's a lot. That's also what the public is at, though. So I guess it's the
Yeah,
exact number that's right.
yeah. I don't think it's that insane. $7,000 on a guy. I mean, look, his last game was 60 DK points against Toronto. He got in foul trouble and then just didn't. He got in foul trouble twice and didn't come back in. But Nurkic is the type of guy that I'm always fine having like 10, 15% of because when he has those monster games, he has those monster games.
Yeah.
And 7K I think is pretty cheap. I'll keep it real simple with Portland and toss it over to you because there isn't anything about the matchup that I like. It kind of makes this easy for me. It is simply their price point. It's very simply they are too cheap, and I'll likely mix them in and out. I'm going to try to avoid having too many of them in the same lineup though because it's a pace down spot. They're playing the slowest team in basketball. I don't expect this game to feature a whole lot of scoring, 217 total. So I would like to limit it to how many. I'd like to limit how many Portland players I have in my lineup at once. Just because they're all dirt cheap doesn't mean that I need 4 of them in my lineup.
Yeah, I basically just want CJ out of this game. A little bit of Aminu on DK for 4K is fine for me now that I bumped up his minutes. If I get Nurkic, it's okay. He's not grading out well for me right now. I'm just super nervous about that playing time split when Cantor is not trying to go to a different country.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, he's going to get 28 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I have Nurkic in for 28 minutes.
Okay,
I don't know.
I have him at 29 because he played 29 and then 30 and then 19. That was with Cantor out, and then 29 again. So
yeah, we'll go 29 and 19 here.
So it's simply where they're priced at, and that's I'm all right with that. Dame Lillard's 8,100. I mean, if I end up with some Dame, I'm not going to be disappointed about $8,100 Lillard.
It's mostly just a crappy game. It's a pace down. The Blazers' implied total is low. Memphis' defense is solid. It's just there's a lot of like negative check boxes for them today.
Yeah, it just all comes down to where they're priced. That's it for me.
I want to talk about a game that actually has fantasy people in it.
Let's do it.
Minnesota Timberwolves hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. Wolves 3-point favorites. 118.5 implied total, just a half point behind the Warriors. Thunder 115.5. It's actually it's tied for third highest. So monster pace up game for Minnesota. Towns 11.5 on FanDuel, 10.6 on DraftKings, $51 on Yahoo. I mean, Towns is my guy today.
Yeah, I like him. Look, against Adams, it's not particularly appealing, but he's just been so dominant, and matchup has been a little bit less important for a guy like Towns because of he just
He's incredible.
Yeah, he's pretty decent. Jeff Teague being back, I don't love it, but being healthy, I think he played last game. I like Towns a lot more with Teague out. There's no question.
Yeah.
Let me see though. How much Towns? I don't really know if I end up on that much Towns. I think you're probably going to have quite a bit more than I will, though.
I will have quite a bit. That's for sure. I mean, 2 games ago with Teague in, Teague played 29 minutes. Towns took 29 shots and went for 70 fantasy points.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that because of Towns I'm not playing him. That's not what I'm saying.
Went for 34 and 21. 3 straight games, 34 and 21, 37 and 18, 42 and 17.
I mean, yes, he's very, very good. There's no question. He's
he
very
might be
good.
The second best offensive center in basketball behind Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I'm not. We've been running way too long for me to get into that argument with you. I'm not pulling that one.
Hey, just because he's not the best in sort of like inter-office strife doesn't mean he's not fantastic. I love him here today. I'm gonna have a boatload.
All right. Yeah, look, center to me is still one of the positions that has a decent amount of depth. So I'd imagine I end up with some Towns, but not as much as you. It sounds like you're gonna be hitting your cap.
I had 30% on my first crunch.
Well, that's not really a boatload.
It's twice the field.
Yeah, but 15. I mean, boatload to me, I'm thinking you're coming in at like 60% Towns, just going.
No, it would be hard for me to get to that on a guy that expensive.
I don't even worry.
I love it. I love this. I love a lot of Minnesota. I love Wiggins. I love Jeff Teague. I'm tolerant of Derrick Rose, although I hate that he only plays minimal minutes now.
You love Wiggins, you said?
I do.
All right.
There are so many additional possessions in this game. The implied total is super relevant for me. I know that Teague being back is not helpful, but it's not as if Wiggins has some sort of like outlandish projection. I think 0.93 fantasy points per minute in this spot gets quite the boost from scoring and from pace. An additional 5 possessions compared to Minnesota's average. That's so many.
4, right? Well, I have it since the start of January. I'm not looking at it since the start of the season.
Yeah, so I'm taking my calculated pace compared to their pace.
Right.
Rating.
Yeah, no, it's a good spot. You're getting a Thunder team that actually recently has been worse defensively, and with Paul George off the court, it's not going to make their life any easier. And actually bottom 10 in defensive rating over the last month and a half. So there is that, playing at the fastest pace. I mean, there's no question. This is a favorable spot for these Timberwolves players. It's just, I wish it was a different team. That's all. I mean, Wiggins, yes. Wiggins at 5,700 on DraftKings is somebody that you're going to have to play. You're going to have to consider Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
You're going to have to choke that down, because I hate playing Andrew Wiggins. I hate playing guys that are solely dependent on scoring. It makes me sick. Because even in these pace up spots, it's like with all these additional possessions going around with the fast pace, with the opportunities for defensive stats and rebound, like, you still find a way to do nothing. But hopefully that'll change. And then with Jeff Teague, I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. if Teague can get up to back over 30 minutes, at 5,300, then I'd find him very appealing. I don't know what his playing time is going to look like here.
I gave him 30.
30?
Yeah.
All right. If you gave him 30, you're probably getting a decent amount of him, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm basically double the field on Towns, Wiggins, and Teague.
Okay.
They are going to be a core, since people like that word, of a lot of my stuff on DraftKings. Combination. Like, it'll probably be like when it's Towns plus one of them, probably. And then, I don't mind having Teague and Wiggins together, although I definitely don't like that on the surface.
Okay. And then what about Dario Saric started last game, and he's been starting, but his minutes have come back down. He's 3,900. Any interest there?
Not really. I've got him in for 24 minutes, which is more than he's played in the last two. I got 7% on my first crunch. We have him at 11. I don't really want to chase that number any higher than that.
Someone said that Laffy's shitting on Josh's Minnesota plays. I'm not. I just you're just not gonna find me getting enthusiastic about like Wiggins and Teague and these guys. I think they're perfectly reasonable. And Saric or Gibson. They're just not guys that I'm ever going to feel great about. Towns is obviously the guy here, and aside from that, I'm gonna have them, but I'm not excited about it. That's all. They're just not great players.
No, they're not. But the matchup works for me.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely a good matchup. I even suppose I'll have definitely less Towns than you as well. So
yeah, look, some people are just comfortable being wrong.
Well, don't get me started on that. Yeah,
it's me a lot.
What do you have him projected at?
Towns?
Yeah.
60.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, we're certainly different there.
What do you have him at?
54.
In how many minutes?
35.
Do you think he's at 1.54 today?
Yep.
Okay.
I do. He's 1.5 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
With Teague on the floor. I forget. But I'll tell you right now. So 1.5 on the season with Towns and Teague on the floor. I think he's right around that as well.
So then it should be higher than that, right?
What do you mean?
His points per minute should go up in this scenario because the possessions per minute go up.
Yeah, but the thing is though, I'm also so 1.4 with Teague.
Okay.
So I do have it going up. I have it going up because with Teague's missed a lot of games this year. He's missed a lot of time. So he's 1.4 DraftKings points with Teague on the floor. And then, yes, while it's definitely a pace-up matchup, I still don't think Steven Adams makes for the easiest time around the rim. So I feel pretty okay with 1.54 per minute.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy.
What do you have, Matt? Like 1.6, 1.62 or something?
1.66 on FanDuel.
Okay. Yeah, so we're definitely different there.
Yeah. Give me that Carl. I'm in for it today.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Second best offensive center in basketball. You just can't turn it down like that. All right, 11-4 for Russ on FanDuel, 11-3 on DK, 54 on Yahoo.
Love him.
Okay. I prefer Towns. That should be not shocking on DraftKings. I don't hate Westbrook on DraftKings.
You have Towns over Westbrook today?
I would rather have Towns than Westbrook on DraftKings.
All right.
I would rather have Westbrook than Towns on FanDuel.
All right. Now that's a stand. Towns and Westbrook's cheaper than Towns on FanDuel. That's absurdity. I'd still pay the extra $700 for Westbrook here. I mean, look, here's my thing. With Towns, perfectly reasonable play. Like, not take nothing away from him. Westbrook faced San Antonio and Memphis in these two spots with George out. Faced Philly, and Butler did a really good job containing him throughout that game. Forced a bunch of bad shots. He didn't shoot well. I mean, this is easily the best matchup he has had since Paul George got injured. It's not even remotely close. This is the best one. Like, yeah, you could argue Philly is a team that can more easily match that pace, and the differential is less extreme, but it's not that insane. Like, it's a 2.5 possession per 48 differential since the start of January from the Sixers to the Timberwolves. And who simply put, who's going to stop him? Towns is not a good rim protector. Jeff Teague, Derrick Rose, Okogie, like Wiggins, there's just really no way to contain him here. I think this is a clear blow up spot for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if I don't like Russ. Let's see where I have him here amongst everybody. Like, of the guys at the top end, I prefer Russ to Harden. I just prefer Towns to Russ. I prefer Russ to everybody else until I get all the way down to Markkanen at 8,200, and we're talking about like two very different plays at that point.
Right.
So I'm on board, and FanDuel for sure. It's really hard to ignore him. And it's a great matchup. It's a great spot. The pace is great. Their implied total is great. I can't turn down any Russ.
It's funny that with Paul George out, Russell Westbrook hasn't looked as good, and I'm not so sure that that's just fluky. Russell Westbrook has assisted on 52% of Paul George's made assisted field goals this year, which is a decent number. It's actually a really decent number. And it helps having someone like George out there to take the pressure off, but which is more influential against like a Memphis or San Antonio, even against the Philly, where they really don't have bad on-ball defense. Against Minnesota, though, I just don't see a way that you're going to be able to contain him.
I think that seeing Paul George out for Russ is giving us a look behind the curtain that Russ is probably a step behind where he's been.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I think it's the first visual representation of him starting to crest the hill of peak.
I don't deny that at all. But it won't make a difference for me today.
Oh, no. I just, that's more of like a holistic basketball comment. Like, I think it's the first time we were able to look at it and say, like, uh-oh. Like, we might have, I think the best of Russ might be over. And then
clearly
having Paul George is better.
Yes, clearly seeing the same thing with LeBron James, except there's no one on the team that's highlighting that. It's just LeBron James is highlighting that.
Oh, LBJ. Dude's going to be taking his talents to South Beach a little bit earlier than he expected.
Yep, very much could be the case. By the way, Westbrook in these games, especially I think you could see him play 37, 38 minutes here, and if that's the case, it'll be hard. It'll be pretty tough to stay away from him. But he's 1.54 with George off the court this year. That to me, if you get like 37, 38 minutes from him, it's going to be difficult for me to get away from Russ here. That's all.
I completely understand it.
What are you doing with Schroeder?
Smashing him.
Oh, that's interesting.
You're not?
He's
the chalk on both sites right now.
I'm just fucking with your terminology.
This one, it's not going to be relative to the field or anything, but I had 66% on FanDuel and 58% on DraftKings.
No, you said you were smashing Dennis Schroeder. Never mind.
I get it.
I'll pull back.
I get it. Your mind's in the gutter.
Thank you for making me explain myself.
Mm-hmm.
Schroeder's been I really don't like him in the starting lineup personally, but
nope.
It doesn't matter if he's going to be playing that many minutes. It doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't. I like the OKC side of this better than better than Minnesota just because I feel more comfortable about where the minutes are gonna be and what we're gonna get in terms of usage, at least with Westbrook and Schroeder. Aside from that, like Jeremy Grant, I think is fine. He's gonna play a lot of minutes. He'll probably give you 30, 33 fantasy points or so. If you're okay with that, go ahead and take it. Steven Adams at 6,100 on DraftKings and on FanDuel, Adams is what, 6,800?
Yes.
I don't have an issue with that.
Same.
His minutes, by the way, have come down. And I had mentioned I felt like he was starting to get worn out. So I'm not sure that it's a coincidence that Billy Donovan has brought his playing time down a little bit. It's not a huge coincidence in my opinion, and he's actually playing better with fewer minutes. So
you got 22 boards against Memphis 2 nights ago.
I know, it's fantastic.
You would have thought Russ was hurt with that sort of rebounding output.
Oh, big time, yeah. I mean, he has 49 rebounds over his last 3 games. Yeah. He I think cut his minutes down a few per game, and those were back to backs too. I don't have an issue with Steven Adams either.
Same.
I don't. In terms of how much I get, I don't think I landed on much Steven Adams at all. But if you like him, I'm not going to turn you away from him. I still think Adams at that price is perfectly fine.
Same. No issue there.
And you definitely you're going to need Steven Adams to play heavy minutes against Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, that is an understatement. He will be out there for most of Towns' stint.
He should. Although Towns is not the most physical center. So Nerlens Noel, these are the type of games where he can, he's tall and lanky. Nerlens struggles more against an Embiid type that backs into the basket or a DeMarcus Cousins or even a Julius Randle. Those type of guys that are just large and can out physical you. Towns is more of a finesse player, so it's not Nerlens isn't your worst backup center option here.
No, Adams is out there to make Karl Anthony Towns' life a living hell for 30 minutes.
To make him cry. Yeah, exactly.
You can beat the shit out of him and tell him how Jimmy Butler was the best Wolf he's ever seen and shit.
Adams' mentality is phenomenal for basketball. Like he is so good for the game.
Oh, look, he's great. He's great. I think we're good on this game, right?
Yeah, let's move it on.
2 to go. Hour and 27 minutes in. Raptors and Rockets, 115.5 implied total for the Raptors, 112 for the Rockets. This is just a good basketball game, and there are little pieces of this game that I want to have, but nothing too crazy. Kawhi is chalk on FanDuel, 9,700. I get ready for this one. I don't have much interest.
That is actually very surprising.
Yeah, it doesn't grade out all that well to me. I don't really want to get to too much Kawhi. 8,900 on DraftKings. I have zero. I have 0 on DraftKings right now. I have 10% on FanDuel. He's at 24%. So.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to therapy about it. It's fine.
Right. Oh man, yeah. If he ends up erupting here, you're gonna be that will not be your day. It's funny because I actually like Kawhi today more than I do on most days, which is funny because we usually always have different opinions here.
We usually do.
8,900 on DraftKings against Houston. I expect the minutes to be through the roof in this game. He rested last time out. 8,900. I'm not opposed to that. Now, does that mean that I'm loading up on Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi.
No, what it means is that when I usually have 0, like no Kawhi Leonard, that probably won't be the case today. That's it.
Mm-hmm. You love Kawhi. Kawhi lover.
Yeah, that's it. Just love him. Absolutely.
I mean, that's all I ever hear out of you. Kawhi this, Kawhi that.
Kawhi. Don't play Kawhi. Don't play Kawhi. That's all you ever hear out of me. Exactly.
Me too. That's all I'm saying today. Don't play Kawhi. Yeah. You know what? That dude is gonna smash tonight. Now that I'm not on him.
Oh no question. He's gonna get it. He's gonna put up monster numbers here. I don't see how he couldn't.
Yeah, because if there's anything in this simulation that exists, it's that spiting me is the first thing on the list.
Yep.
Making me look dumb is the key of my own simulation.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I like Serge Ibaka for $4,700 on FanDuel.
That's good. I don't. Well, I don't want 18, 20 minutes out of Ibaka.
Yeah, I'm not terribly enthusiastic about it. I have him in for 22 minutes right now. I don't know how they play this against Houston. Also, it's crazy to me that he's just like not playing now, but I guess that's what happens when you get Marc Gasol.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I have him. Well, let me tell you, I have Ibaka at 20 minutes, and I feel comfortable with it there. And
What'd you give Gasol? 28?
Marc Gasol at 28. So that's no. Wait, hold on a second. Let me back up. I want to make sure where the other wanted to see a game log here. No, I'm sorry. I have Gasol at 30.
Okay. Now, pay close attention to this one. If I told you that Serge Ibaka started, it's not like you'd be like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" So knowing, Gasol started twice. I don't know if that's going to be the new norm, but it might be. It probably, like, I'm assuming that it is, but something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it wouldn't be crazy. I mean, he played 38 minutes against. Now, here's the thing: 38 minutes against Detroit.
33
What's that?
with OT.
Oh, 33 in regulation. Sure, yeah. So 33 against that big Detroit front court, 32 against Portland. But here's the interesting thing: you'd be like, oh yeah, well, big matchup in Nurkic. Well, you'd be wrong, because Nurkic only played 19 minutes. So when Gasol was out there playing heavy minutes, that was out against Myers Leonard. And that's pretty significant, right? If you ask me, you're talking about a way different situation. And then Myers Leonard also closed the game. So, yeah, Myers Leonard might be tall, but he is hardly your big, imposing center that you worry about. And if Gasol, if Nurse is out there giving Gasol those minutes in that situation, then I'm definitely inclined to give him around 30 minutes, maybe 32 minutes with what we've been seeing, especially given that Serge Ibaka has played a couple minutes alongside Mr. Gasol.
Yeah, and on the off chance that Gasol gets into foul trouble, it's not like Ibaka's not going to be the first person. Like, no one else is soaking that up.
Right.
He's sort of in like the Ed Davis-ish role now.
Right.
It's something I'm going to keep an eye on because he pops up a lot for me right now, even at 22 minutes. So it's kind of crazy to me. It's something I need to look at in depth, though.
I need to change one thing, though.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect in this one. I wouldn't expect Ibaka to play. Maybe I had him at like playing 1 or 2 minutes with Gasol, but I don't think that'll be the case here at all.
I only give him 2 minutes at the 4.
Yeah, so I'll probably put. I'm going to put Ibaka at 18.
Okay.
Now, is it possible that it's 28 and 20? Yeah, it's possible. I don't think that's the craziest take in the world.
That's basically what I gave them, plus 2 more minutes at the 4. A little bit of overlap. It's not like he can't be out there on the 4 if he's PJ Tucker,
Right. Because Drummond and Blake were out there. So Ibaka and Gasol were playing to start the second quarter. They played 3 minutes with each other. Blake and Drummond were out there the whole time. And then they did it again to start the fourth quarter. But interestingly here, only Drummond was on the court, and that was a smaller lineup with Glenn Robinson, Langston Galloway, Ish Smith, and Luke Kennard. So that's kind of interesting. Matter of fact, Marc Gasol, or no, I'm wrong. It was Gasol wasn't out there, so it was with Drummond and Blake on the court. So I don't think there's going to be much overlap, if anything, today.
Same.
So 28-20, 30-18.
Yep. That's
I like
really
Gasol, though.
57. I'd rather play Miles Turner.
I don't know if I would. Like, I basically have him at the same minute projection.
I mean, I basically like everybody else around him except for him. If we go from Horford to Draymond Green, I want everybody before I get Marc Gasol. Horford, Adams, Turner, Green.
Horford, Adams, Turner. Green. Okay. Yeah, we're a little different there. I think Gasol's still too cheap for me.
I'll admit, I do need to take a closer look at Toronto.
I think Gasol, about 5,700.
If we got word that Serge Ibaka was starting tonight, how much would you like him on FanDuel at 4,700? I don't expect that to happen. Just saying.
If he's starting, I'd have no problem with him, but I still wouldn't be giving him more than 24 minutes.
Agreed.
I'd expect a split down the middle, because at this point, I don't think Nurse is going to turn back and start giving, Gasol 18 minutes again. That seems highly unlikely. But Marc Gasol, so here's the thing. Since coming to Toronto, he's producing 1.2 fantasy points per minute. So, if you're just giving him, if I'm giving him 30 minutes here.
That's a lot.
What's a lot? 30 minutes?
No, like 1.2 at 30 minutes is a shit ton of fantasy points.
Right. So you're talking 36 fantasy points at 5,700. If I'm getting close to that, it simply means that I'm going to have a lot of Gasol. Now, I have him around 1.15, but I'm still going to have a decent amount of Gasol here if I'm giving him 30 minutes. That's the thing, which I am right now.
I don't have a disagreement with you at all there.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of these discounted centers that are in pretty good spots.
Right. There's not a shortage of people that you can play with center eligibility, that's for sure.
Right.
So, Houston, James Harden, 12-1 on FanDuel, 11-1 on DraftKings, 59 on Yahoo. He is my least favorite stud of the studs.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
Which is funny because all this dude does is crush. I mean, it could end poorly. And
yeah, I faded him his last time out. That went well.
The 60 or the 90?
The 90.
Oh, he had 60 last time out.
No, then second to last time out.
Honestly, if Harden right now, we have him at like 8% on DraftKings. Which is funny because we have Russell Westbrook at 15%. Like if that stays similar, there's not enough gap there for me to go heavy on Harden. Like if I'm surprised Westbrook is that low right now. If we see him come up to like 25 or so, and Harden's down there in single digits, I think you could very much make a different argument for James Harden. At least I know I could.
I don't disagree with you there.
I mean, look, he just dropped 95 fantasy points and then followed it up with 64 against Miami and Boston. Neither of them are exactly pushover defenses.
No.
So
Miami is uniquely set up to stop him too.
Right. So it doesn't really matter who he's facing or if Chris Paul's on the court, which he's been. Harden to me is at least always, he's never someone you just want to write out of your player pool. I'll put it that way.
Very true. Look, this is a rough matchup for him. Who guards Harden here?
Danny Green.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, no one guards him, but
but if you're talking about majority, I would think he'd see a lot of Danny Green.
Yeah, I would guess. I mean, they're going to switch basically everything. It's not like they're going to be upset if Kawhi or Siakam or Danny Green or Ibaka end up on him. Like, they're just, all of those guys are more than capable of trying.
Right, because you still have Chris Paul.
Yeah. So, I was just thinking about it. Yeah, do you like Harden or Paul more here? Obviously relative to salary.
Relative to salary, it would still be Harden just 'cause I'm not gonna I can't imagine I end up on much Chris Paul at all.
Yeah, I have just a little bit here. Very small amount of Clint Capella. How many minutes do you think Fareed plays if he plays? Because he's an interesting guy at 4,900.
Uh,
Depending on the minutes. I mean, that's the equation here. I have him in for 25, and I think I'm way too high.
I don't know yet. I don't have a good answer for that because I would need to know if so do you have him coming off the bench?
Yes.
You do. Okay. I don't think it's insane to think that D'Antoni could, if it's a Siakam Gasol starting lineup, that he starts Fareed at the 4 and PJ Tucker at the 3 and have, Tucker guard
Kawhi.
uh, Kawhi Leonard. I don't think that's insane. If that's the case, I'd put him up around 28 minutes. Otherwise, I have him right now at 21, assuming he's coming off the bench.
Okay. And that's if he plays at all.
If he plays, yeah.
Yeah, something to keep in mind. No way for us to know that stuff right now, so
Right.
check it out. Similarly, and I say this a lot, but PJ Tucker at 3,900, when there's no value out there and someone's under 4K, I'll take a look at guys that get a ton of minutes, and this is one of those spots. It's not something I'm excited about, but right now, in the morning shows, we rarely have the kind of information that gives you a 60% owned $3,300 guy,
Are you on Capella?
Just as much as the public.
I think I got like 10% my first time around, which is more than I thought, but he's pretty. Oh, actually, I got 12.
That's what I mean. Like, all these guys are just like 6K.
I know, that's the problem.
It's gross. Center pricing on DraftKings has just been really bad this year.
It has. It's made things difficult. That's all I have for this game, though. I think it's a much better game to watch than to actually.
We're gonna get yelled at if we don't mention Eric Gordon.
I never play Eric Gordon.
Neither do I.
Literally, like Eric Gordon had a good game last time. Okay,
yes,
sweet job, pal.
He's been really good lately.
I don't care. Like people are gonna be, what do you mean you don't care? I don't. I just. I don't. I can get that elsewhere.
I wonder if he's starting to get healthy.
Maybe.
Last 8 games or whatever. 5 this is his relative to salary. 5.1, 5.3, 5.7, 6.8, 5.6, 8.6, 6.1, 3.4, 9.6. He's been really good since the trade deadline, basically.
Yeah, he's been perfectly fine. You want to play Eric Gordon, go right ahead. I'm not going to fault you for it.
Maybe that All-Star break really helped him.
I mean, you could try and think of ways that he's playing better all you want, but one thing I know about Eric Gordon is that if he's not draining 30 points, 25 points, then you're in a world of hurt. And against Toronto, where there's a legitimate chance that he's going to see a whole lot of Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, this is not me advocating for Eric Gordon, just FYI.
You can. I mean, look, I can have different opinions than our viewers and then other people that like Eric Gordon. There's just so much downside in this matchup.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know he's coming off of that 46 fantasy point game, but like with Harden and Paul and Capella and everyone healthy, that's his absolute ceiling. And I just don't see him coming close to reaching that again, especially tonight.
Yeah, I don't see him going for 40 something. Let's see, where is he?
Like I have him projected at 26 fantasy points.
Does he not have shooting guard eligibility?
He does.
Why am I not seeing his name?
You probably have one game selected or something.
There he is. Would you rather have Eric Gordon or JJ Redick? Same price today.
Preferably neither. If I had to pick one of them, well, I have Redick projected higher than Gordon, so I'll just keep it simple there.
I do as well. Would you rather have Evan Fournier or Gordon?
Probably Evan Fournier.
Ooh, finally coming to my team.
But I don't like. I'm not high on these guys.
That's not what I heard.
But I'm not. But here's the thing: I'm not even getting much of them. Yeah. I got a decent amount of Redick.
Sure.
Unfortunately, here's my question to you:
I'm
How
ready.
much of a downgrade really is Avery Bradley from Gordon? Because I don't really think he is. I don't. Like, check this
I'm
out.
with you.
Eric Gordon not only faces, Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors. Forget about that for a second, though. He's still playing with the highest usage player in the league and Chris Paul. Avery Bradley's playing with, a less than 100% Mike Conley, even if he is 100%, whatever. Mike Conley and who else? Yeah, Joval. Okay, Joval will get his looks around the basket. He's out there with Bruno Caboclo and like Delon Wright and Justin Holiday. Avery Bradley is going to continue to get opportunities. So that's why when it comes to these cheat guys, no, I don't think Bradley is a significant downgrade from Gordon whatsoever.
Neither do I. Same page. Pay close attention to the ownership on those guys. If anybody is an outlier low or high, just go the other direction.
Yeah. And also, I know he's going to be popular, but Schroeder's not much more expensive he's like 700 more expensive than Eric Gordon anyway. Eric Gordon's just not in a spot where I find him all that appealing. That's all.
I do not blame you for that one bit. You ready to close this out?
Yep.
Late night hammer, and it is a doozy. Golden State Warriors hosting the Boston Celtics. 119 implied total for the Warriors, highest on the slate. 110.5 for the Celtics. Start on the Golden State side. There are 5 names that matter here: Durant, Cousins, Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. Draymond Green, 5,600 on DK tonight.
Yeah, he's cheap.
Everybody knows where I'm going to stand on Draymond. So talk to me about the Warriors and where are you looking for this one?
Dre's fine. Dude's attempted 12 combined shots over his last 3 games.
Just jacking it.
12 combined shots.
He went 2 for 4 in 3 straight games.
Yeah, he's crushing, right? DeMarcus Cousins has not been involved that much passing wise, but he's still one of the best passing big men in the league. So that doesn't help Draymond Green.
No.
Someone said, "Who's shitting your Cheerios today, Laffy? You hate everyone." No, I don't. I just gave you like 4 guys that I like more than Gordon. It doesn't mean I don't like people. It just means I like other guys more. And I don't. There are a lot of guys that I just don't think are in very good spots. But DeMarcus Cousins to me is pretty fascinating here. If you get 30 minutes from Cousins at 8K, I'm always going to have some interest. How much interest is another question, but he continues to be solid. Even against the Sixers, got off to a slow start. The Warriors have been a team that's been difficult for me. Like, I've liked Curry a lot lately, and he's let me down. He got in the foul trouble against Philly, but he still played 36 minutes. Klay Thompson, is Klay Thompson going to play? I don't know. We know he had that MRI. I'm assuming he probably doesn't play in this one. What do you have him?
I have him in.
You have him in?
Yeah.
All right. So that could make a difference for sure, because Klay Thompson being out has definitely, we saw Cousins gets more opportunity with Klay off the court. Where are you going with Golden State? It's been there are so many teams on this slate that I would prefer not to be on it, but they are. And I like Cousins. Draymond Green, like you said, 5,600. I have nothing against Dre. He was one of my highest owned power forwards when I ran my first crunch. So it's not that I have anything against Dre, but I mean, it sucks seeing this dude shoot 4 times a game, right? Like he passes up every opportunity he has right now. So you're solely relying on rebounds and assists and defensive stats. Like, no, at this point, it's not even like you hope maybe he has a good scoring game. Maybe he'll shoot 5 for 8. And if he does, that's good.
Yeah. Draymond's the guy that I'm going to most. Then it's Cousins, if we're talking DK. Draymond, then Cousins, and then a grab bag between Durant, Curry, and Klay. I don't have a preference. On FanDuel, it's Draymond, then Cousins, then Durant by like a pretty clear margin, then Curry, then Klay. And Durant on FanDuel just becomes a really nice play because the rest of small forward is pretty garbage.
Yeah, small forward's been difficult on FanDuel lately. There's really not a lot there. I mean,
I
if you're
understand why he's a small forward on FanDuel, but he is not a small forward.
yeah, Durant at the same price as Kawhi Leonard's pretty interesting, but
Yeah.
it actually makes sense. They've been, pretty comparable this season.
Yeah.
I understand Durant on FanDuel. I gotta tell you though, if you wanna talk about peripherals and lost rebounding opportunities with Cousins, and just look at Kevin Durant,
Yeah, for real.
right? I mean, that's pretty significant. You've seen that come down quite a bit.
Not that that's shocking. I mean, that's exactly what you would expect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a lot different than Kevon Looney and Jonas Jerebko, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. But them on the court together, they're gonna play a good amount of minutes. Durant with Cousins on the court, 1.11 fantasy points per minute, a 7% rebounding rate. 7%. 16% rebound rate for Cousins, 12% for Draymond Green. Durant and Curry basically have the same rebound rate with Cousins on the floor. Really, really interesting, man.
Craziness.
Cousins has the highest usage rate of all of these guys when he's on the floor with Durant this season. So pretty interesting.
I don't have it. Clearly, we're not talking about anybody else from Golden State.
No.
So Boston side, a little bit of a pace up spot. They have been not a fun team to root for lately. How are you going to manage Kyrie tonight?
I've been wrong on Kyrie Irving a lot lately.
A lot of people have.
Yeah. Fortunately, he hasn't been crazy expensive, so the 43 fantasy point game isn't a dagger, but it also doesn't help, and it's been rough, man. It's been rough against Washington. 13 points. He had a lot of assists. He had 12 assists, 6 rebounds, with 13 points. Houston, he only shot 11 times. I don't honestly, Josh, I wish I could tell you what's going on with Irving. The only thing you can think is this team is just in complete internal turmoil right now, and the dysfunction is killing them. I don't know. I really do not know, man. With Irving at 8,800, you'd think that you'd just end up on a ton of him, and I had been recently.
I am here right now.
So what are you getting? How much Irving are you getting?
I got 21% right now. We're projecting him at 7 on DK.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and look, I'm probably gonna go with that. The narrative of it all is terrifying, but when push comes to shove, it's Kyrie Irving in a game that he should play 36 plus minutes at
What's the narrative?
That the Celtics are in turmoil and he's grumpy as shit.
Okay.
Things have been not going well for Boston.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what you were talking about. Yeah.
Obviously, no. I know that you're more than aware that the Celtics are a team in the NBA.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Right now, I got 18%. Yeah. So it's not crazy at all. I'd feel okay with that. Around 18, 20. Yeah. He's gotta break out eventually. I just don't see any. How does Irving only shoot 11 times against Houston though?
I don't know.
That's strange. He played 36 minutes and only had 6 assists.
I think he shoots here.
He attempted 8 free throws, but still.
I think he gets up for this one.
I hope. I thought he would against the Rockets. I thought he would against the Rockets.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I like Irving. I mean, you $8,800 Irving. He's a 1.3. What is he? 1.36 DraftKings point per minute guy. Forget about what we've seen recently. Irving is and even at 94 on FanDuel, Irving is still a very efficient per minute producer. He's still very efficient in that respect. So I like him. As far as the rest of the team goes, though, Very much take it or leave it. I know you like Al Horford.
I'm
And
shocked that that there's a center at 60 something hundred in this game that you could recommend.
I
Who could have
know.
seen that coming after
I
the other
know.
6 games where everyone
Oh,
has one of those things? Every damn team has one of these guys.
on 150 lineups, I have like 8% Al Horford.
We didn't even talk about Pascal Siakam on Toronto. He's another guy in the sixes that is a guy that I would play like that. So it's just craziness. It's absolute craziness.
I got 7% Siakam too.
Yeah, it's just that there's just so many of those dudes. The problem there for these sort of crunches in everybody in like the 58 to 68 range is that little differences in projections will like dramatically force in some guys over others depending on how much randomness you're using. With so many guys with similar outlooks bunched in similar salary structures, the guy that like is slightly ahead is going to put himself significantly ahead without using any sort of randomness or wiggle room.
Yeah, exactly. There's no doubt about that, and you're right. Like you'll get way too much of them.
Yeah, like if you've got someone in there for like one more minute than you probably should, that could be enough to get you like 30% compared to 8, just because
right
when you draw that line, it's just always higher than everyone else.
Right. Yeah. Fix that.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to.
No, you're absolutely right. I actually had that earlier in the show. I forget who it was with, and I adjusted it, and it came out a lot different. And I'm gonna try and be meticulous with. I always am, but I want to try and be as meticulous as possible with minutes today.
Yeah.
You have to be. You're right. You absolutely have to be, because that's going to make that little tiny difference with all of these players grouped so tightly together could be the difference in your night.
And if you run your crunch, make sure you compare those ownerships across the position. You know, look at everybody in a group. If you get to 45 of one guy and like 4, and you're like, oh, that seems weird, I would have expected so and so to get a little bit more. You probably need to pinch that together a little bit.
Right. For example, I was getting more Miles Turner than I thought necessary, given how many good centers were on this slate. So make a couple adjustments there. Just knock those minutes down 1 or 2, and that fixes everything.
Yeah. Like I use enough randomness that it generally doesn't hit me now, but there were times where I didn't, and it was just like, oh, I'm getting a ton of him, I better smash him. And I wasn't going through the process of like, oh, I'm getting him because this thing is optimizing data and I've got him a half point ahead, so I get him every time that he shows up.
Exactly.
So that stuff matters. Just because it comes out of the optimizer doesn't necessarily mean it is optimal. It is just optimized for score.
It's optimizing your projections. You know, it's if there's an error there, not an error. Well, yeah, you could call it an error in some spots. Like if you have Serge Ibaka projected for 26 minutes, you're going to have a lot of you're going to be optimized for a lot of Serge Ibaka. That doesn't mean it's right. It means that you might want to take a look at why that's happening with Serge Ibaka.
Best way to do it, if you think about it on FanDuel, let's say that you have someone projected for 20.5 points and somebody for 20. You don't use any randomness. When you run your crunch, you're going to get that 20.5 guy, barring you having individual exposure cap set. You're going to get that 20.5 guy every single time. When in all actuality, it's a 50-50 spot that you're turning into 100-0.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And like no one's saying because someone's a half point ahead of them that you should have them in 100% of the lineups. But
right.
That's what happens when you run those crunches. So that's why every other setting is so important.
Totally agree.
A little bit of Horford, a little bit of Tatum is fine. Do you have any interest in Gordon Hayward at 3,900?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
He, like, as of right now, because of where value is, I get him a lot. It's not something that I will do when I get to lock. Like I got 26% Gordon Hayward on DraftKings right now.
Wow.
It's not happening, you know?
Right. No, I mean,
because he's not going to suddenly play 32 minutes if he's cooking.
No.
Or he's also not going to be cooking.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward cooking is maybe in the kitchen, but not on the basketball court.
Yeah. So, just in case anybody sees that I have 26% or 39% on FanDuel, that will not hold.
Yeah, I would hope not.
If Gordon Hayward is 5%, I don't think that I need to 5x the field on him on DraftKings.
That on a guy like that, man, that would be terrible.
No, he doesn't model well using a normal distribution because his right tail looks different than everybody else's. Alrighty. We have made it through 6 games in 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 50 seconds.
That's beautiful. Let's get out by 2 hours on the dot.
Well, we got to say goodbye in 5 seconds.
I
We can't do it, but I would have liked to.
Would have been fun, huh?
Yeah, would have been fun. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. We got a pretty good crowd for the morning. 554 at its peak. Not too shabby when the West Coast is largely in bed.
Very solid.
Do you listen to Nate Duncan, Danny LaRue? Do you listen to the Dunk Dong podcast at all?
I don't.
Okay.
At least not recently.
Okay. 2 NBA writers have a podcast. Anyway,
I know who they are.
That was for everybody else.
Sure.
So they do like NBA game casts where they basically provide, play-by-play. They share their screen, or they share themselves, like, Laffy and I, and they watch a game and give commentary, and you can watch along with them. They were doing the Hawks game last night, and I opened it up on YouTube. It was like 9:30 or something. This made me really happy. They had like 95 people on YouTube watching.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm not trying to shit on them. I listen to that podcast every single morning. It's one of my favorite NBA podcasts. They talk about really like intricate salary cap shit, so it's right in my wheelhouse. I was surprised. Like, I didn't expect them to only have less than 100. I was like, if I turn YouTube on right now and do this, I'll beat them. And that made my ego go really high.
Nice.
If I was like, Laffy, do you want to just like watch the end of the Hawks game and like do commentary while it's happening?
We should. I was watching Skywob police chase. It was Worldwide Wob?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know who Worldwide Wob is?
No.
What? Are you serious?
I'm not kidding at all.
That's crazy. On Twitter?
No.
Skywob?
Dude, I have no. That's a word that's not real to me.
Go before we head out. Go into the search bar. Type at.
I got it.
Worldwide WOB.
Okay.
Rob Perez. You don't know Rob Perez?
I didn't know him as Worldwide Wob.
Yes, of course. That's okay. Anyway,
I don't follow him.
Okay, you don't?
I don't.
Oh man, he'll follow.
Oh
you
wait,
back.
hold on. This is the Osimo account, but I'm fairly confident that I don't follow him either way.
Okay,
I don't see his tweets.
Easily one of the best basketball Twitter followers out there. Like easily one of the best. So he will he'll
halftime police chase live.
Phenomenal, dude. It was if anyone's watching us right now that watched this as well, I saw so many of my buddies, like DFS buddies, jumping in. It's like, oh, I know him. Everyone was hopping in. It was the best, wildest police chase I've ever seen in my life. Like, dude, he got in 3 accidents, and then listen to this. He pulls up to some guy. He's on the phone. The guy throws something in his car while the police are chasing him. And then he keeps going. He's stopping in the corner to talk to people, gets on his phone. So a black pickup truck, after the police back off, a black pickup truck starts following him. Like a vendetta, like a citizen arrest type thing, starts following. Now the chopper's got him the whole time. Finally, there's all these people on the side of the road. The black pickup truck cuts him off. It turns out that this is his family waiting for him to turn himself in. So the cops pull up, the black pickup truck cut him off. They get out, they draw their guns. He gets on the ground. The black pickup truck drives away. Cops get in their car, chase him down, and now you've got them following another guy that was chasing him, and they get him on the ground. I mean, this was the wildest shit I've ever. In terms of a police chase, you will never see something as insane as this. I'm not even kidding when I say it is long. I would advise anyone in their free time to go and watch this halftime police. Like,
dude, I'm watching it now since you started talking for 90 seconds. This whole video is 53 minutes long. 65,000 people watch this.
Yeah, because it was that good. I've never seen it. Dude, it was fun. the things that, like, he literally pulls up next to a work van and you see the guy in the work van toss something into his car, then he speeds away, and then like a just random civilian starts throwing rocks at his car, and then other civilians start chasing him. Oh my god, it was incredible. It was
Can you
incredible.
imagine trying to participate in a high-speed chase as a civilian? I'd be like, I'm gonna go over here.
Yep. Oh yeah, this guy
I
turns
give no
around.
shits if this guy gets away or not.
Yeah, he turns around and follows him, and then there was another chase with the guy that was following him, and he pulled over. But oh man, it was so good. But I'm so glad I caught this.
And in the end, we found out it was O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, yeah. OJ, Jesse Smollett.
I was trying to think of like who the equivalent from the NBA would have been if
There
it
were,
was.
there were a lot of NBA. Yeah, LeBron speeding out of LA.
Yeah. I would go with like what would be the equivalent for the NBA for OJ? Julius Erving, I guess, right? Or Kareem. Those are the only two.
Sure.
Yeah, they would have. They're like the two guys that people would know. I mean, or Magic or Bird.
It was amazing though.
On that note, close it out. Go watch a high speed chase on Worldwide Wob.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah. And then I guess I'll follow him. 17 followers, follow him. Chris Spags. Ship my money. You.
Anyone who's
Manny.
anyone. Anyone who's anyone.
Adam Levitan. DraftKings, FanDuel, and not me.
You didn't even know who he was.
Too cool for school on this one.
You didn't even know who he was.
I didn't. I mean, I didn't. I know the name Rob Perez.
No, I just meant, why would you be following? I mean, I didn't know.
Yeah, no clue. Alrighty. Well, NBA Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month. Tune in later today. We have Ben and Tim going on at 2:30 to talk about the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Deeper dive from 5 to 6. Laffy and Adam. Adam will have the deep dive out. Honestly, who knows? He's on West Coast time right now, and he's operating on times that he doesn't normally. He got up at 4 a.m. yesterday.
Well, it should be earlier because he's got 3 hours of cushion.
Who knows when he's sleeping right now? This can go any direction. So the deep dive will be written. I cannot confirm any single time that Adam will be doing this. And then live before lock tonight, Fast Eddie Fear, Chris Spags, taking you all the way up. I technically, outside of having to produce the golf show, have some time to actually do some stuff. I've got a task list to work through here. So it's gonna be a good day. I like Tuesdays.
Yeah, I have to go to my CPA today. That's not going to be fun. Got to do my taxes. So
yeah, that's also
Tuesday,
on the short list.
Yeah.
I've got tax papers all over the damn place in here.
Yeah, me too.
Alrighty, buddy. Well, let's get out of here. 2 hours, 7 minutes, 48 seconds. Another classic. Best of luck, everybody. We're out of here.
That's a heck of a